I feel like we all have that champion that reminds you that they exist. Maybe it is a champion that you keep pulling from shards. Well, for today, I'm gonna go ahead and build mine. Hey you guys, it's Cece. Welcome back to my channel. The champion I'm talking about today is actually a legendary champion. And I know what you guys are thinking. Cece, you have not even been playing a year. What do you mean you have a legendary that? And I'm not going to say plagues the account because it's not necessarily a bad champion, but it is a champion I have somehow pulled 3 times. And I think that's to be said for something. The fact I've pulled the same legendary with all the legendaries in this game, he's popped up not once, not twice, but 3 times. And not just on one account, but on my other accounts to be like, Cece, you need him. You need this champion. So you know what? It's fine that time that I finally actually go ahead and give him a build. Now, the champion I'm talking about today, I'm going to show you guys. It's actually in my reserve vault as well, but I also moved him over into my main storage, and that champ is actually Blizzard the Howler. Yeah, somehow I keep pulling this champ. Now, not necessarily a bad champion, and one that I think it's time to just build because I think it is one that is ready to help my account. And I think even though I have tons and tons and tons of legendaries to build, it's time we see what I can actually do with this champion. Let's hop into the skills first. So first skill, attacks 3 times at random. Each hit actually has a 40% chance of placing a freeze debuff for a turn. Second skill, removes any stun, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, petrification debuff from all allies. Places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. And places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champ for 2 turns. It's a nice kind of buffing skill in there. Third skill, attacks all enemies. 75% chance of placing a freeze debuff for a turn. Also has a 75% chance of decrease turn meter of all enemies by 30%. And then passive / active skill. Whenever an enemy tries to place a freeze debuff on this champion, instantly transfers it from this champ to that enemy. And whenever this champion is killed, revives them with 30% HP, 30% turn meter, and places revive on death buff for them for a turn. So all of these things put together actually makes this champ useful in a few different places of this game. And as I said, I think it's time for me to actually finally go ahead and build Blizzard, since I am being reminded of this champ over and over. It's time to finally put him to use on my account. So in terms of gear, a few things that we want to focus on, a few things I'm hoping to actually put him on. I am going to be looking, of course, again, stats more so versus sets, but if I can make sets work, why not? A few different options I'm leaning towards, one of them potentially being immortal. I have some gear that I can use in here. Maybe potentially we could also do regen, so maybe those two might work together for him. I'm gonna start on the bottom as usual with like boots and kind of go from there. So if I do have speed boots, that would be ideal, which I do actually have these right here, and they've got accuracy. So I do want to make sure this champ has accuracy on him. Want to be able to actually land those debuffs. So I think that right there is going to be a good start. And next, I'm going to work into building this champion as a supportive type champ. So that is what we're going to be looking at for the bottom stats. Now, I do have, that's a 4-star. That should be sold. Hopefully, I mean, we've got defense here. It's got some HP. We could try it on for now. I think I would have just preferred just HP, but might not be able to make that happen. But maybe we'll have that in some regen. So nothing on the boot. Ooh, I was gonna say we have HP here, but those are awful stats. Let's see what we have potentially. I mean, we gotta make something work for the gauntlet. So some options. I really need better gear, you guys. Like, look at yikes. Defense? I really don't want to do defense. He's gonna need some HP, so I'll try this on for now. Regen might not be where we kind of lean towards this. Again, it's kind of gonna depend on what subsets I can find within everything else. I am actually looking now potentially into throwing Relentless on instead, because I don't think I really have what I'm gonna need in the regen. And since I'm kind of going for stats over sets anyways here, I might be able to actually make it work with some Relentless. So that's kind of what I'm thinking next. I'm gonna go back down into my immortal and see what else I can use. Kept the boots on, but obviously needing something else to complete that 2 set. So seeing what I potentially have with some speed, maybe some accuracy, because as I said, we do need accuracy to be able to actually land some of these debuffs. So I'm kind of gonna play around, try some stuff on, and then I will go into my other set there and we'll kind of see what we can make happen. So let's go up into Relentless and see what we can maybe do in terms of helmet here. So getting a decent amount of accuracy now, actually, considering that's not too bad here. So in this one, 22, I don't really need that attack. So it'd be nice if I could get some high accuracy. There you go, something like this. 20, but I'm also getting the 12 speed on there, which is nice. 21 in this one. Speed, defense, accuracy in this helmet. Losing the accuracy here, which like I said, it's something I do kind of want to keep across. If I potentially can, then why not? So I think that this one might be, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So between now my shield and my weapon, tons of speed on the weapon, not much else going on. So we'll see what we can do in here. Maybe I can manage to kind of reach both there. So 20, yeah, see, tons of accuracy. 29 here, losing some of that speed though. 15, and then getting the 10, getting some resistance as well, which I may actually need some resistance for some of my champions kind of moving forward. So this might work, I think, with Relentless. Not mad at it either, getting the extra turns in there. Not necessarily a bad thing at all. So I think this might actually be kind of what I'm thinking of with my potential build here. So looking at Relentless and then going in with the Immortal as well in here, and then I'm not going to really be able to put on any accessories really until I get Blizzard Ascended here, because obviously I haven't done that. I have not built Blizzard out really at all, as we can kind of see, but that's obviously going to be the next step that we need to do, is actually go ahead and do some ascending. And I will say, I've noticed that Blizzard was actually a fusion back before I started playing. So for myself, I actually managed to pull this champ 3 times. I didn't go through any of the fusion because I was not playing raid at that time, so that was not even an option for me. So the fact I've gone ahead and pulled, and it almost makes me feel slightly better on like future fusions, because there's some that I obviously haven't been able to do, and I think I've managed to pull like 5 fusions now at this point. And of course, all of those being fusions I didn't actually get to take part in. So, I mean, it's not to say that they will never come your way if you skip them, because clearly, I mean, I've skipped some and they've managed to come across my way at this point. So, I do think this champ is going to be helpful for me in a few areas of this game. And I feel like I'm definitely not alone. And there's for sure got to be a champion out there that, same thing for you guys, just kind of keep coming up. Maybe this is your sign. It's time to build that champion, the one you've been waiting for. So now that I've got the gear on my Blizzard, it's definitely a start. Do need to make sure I ascend fully built and everything, but at least I will finally be able to start using this champ somewhere. As I said, maybe we can actually go ahead and ascend. I don't know if I've got the gear to be able to do that, or I should say the potions. No, I can do one essentially, and I actually have tons of champs here that I need to go ahead and get ascended, but at the very least, I've got gear on him, so I can definitely start using him in a few different places, including Faction Wars. It was one of the reasons I actually wanted to go ahead and build him, because I need to definitely get a move on with Faction Wars and need to finally start making some progress in here, because that's probably somewhere that I would say I need to spend a little more time, is building out some of my champs, at least a little bit, for Faction Wars, so that I can go ahead and start collecting these rewards down at the bottom. And of course, getting one step closer to Lydia. Of course, she's a champion that, fantastic champion. Of course, why would we not want her? So that's always gonna be the next step, is actually fully finishing my faction. So definitely nowhere near there quite yet, since I'm at like part 7 out of 21, I think it is. But I'll get there eventually. And this is just another step closer to that. But at least Blizzard has finally started that build process, and I finally have started putting gear on him. If you download Raid Shadow Legends using my link, I'm actually going to start you off with the free legendary champion on day 1. And then at level 10, level 20, and level 30, you'll get yourself an epic. That is 4 amazing champions that you can get just by downloading using my link. That maybe it's time to actually build. You have multiples of a legendary you keep getting over and over. Comment down below and let me know who that is, or let me know if there's a champion in your inventory you've decided, you know what, it's time to take them out of the vault, throw some gear on them, and get them going. Be sure you do subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, including when I start working even more on my Faction Wars. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!